What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. In today's video, I want to show you an easy guide on how you can create your very first build and the thought process I use behind when I create mine. So we're going to take this into our Warlock, use an exotic I've actually never used, and try to create a good build around it. Then we'll take it into some 40, probably negative 40 content to see if it actually can perform, see if it works well at all. So first, to start this, I want to be using an exotic that I haven't used before one time. And when I was thinking of which exotic we should be using, like, okay, well, let's go to our exotic tab. Let's go over to the featured armor gear and just see what's featured that I haven't used before, rather than just picking some random exotic and trying to just create a build around it. I figured let's do the same thing, but with something featured. So even if the exotic's not the best, we still get the bonus from it being featured. So we're opting to go with Nothing Manacles. This will enhance our scatter grenade as well as give us an additional charge, meaning we'll have two separate grenades to use. Might as well give it a shot. Obviously, it's not going to be as good as a Starfire Protocol build. It's not going to be as good as the Verity's Brow build that we just put out a few weeks ago. Feel free to go check that out if you want to, but nonetheless, we're going to give this a shot. So with Nothing Manacles, obviously it's a very grenade-centric build, so we want to make sure that we're building into our grenade. So obviously Scatter Grenade is a void-specific grenade, so let's take a look at the actual subclass first to see what we can use to kind of enhance the different fragments and aspects that we want to be using to go with it. So we want to make sure, obviously, we have Scatter Grenade on. Pocket Singularity is just a fun melee. It's also the only one you've got. For super, use whatever you'd like. I prefer and recommend Cataclysm Nova Bomb. It's arguably the best super for Void. And frankly, at the end of the day, Nova Warp's just, it looks cool, but it's not it. It's not. All right, so aspect-wise, we have three separate ones to choose from Chaos Accelerant, Feed the Void, as well as Child of the Old Gods. We do know that Child of the Old Gods is getting a little bit of a buff come soon, and it does weaken targets. So reading onto this, when a target is being drained by our Child of the Old Gods, you are granted grenade and melee energy if we're running a healing rift, or health if we're running an empowering rift. And defeating the target who is drained will also grant us class ability energy, just meaning we'll have further uptime on it, because this does proc when we cast our rift and when we shoot a target. So obviously it feeding back into our grenade is a really good thing, so we want to go with that. Next up is going to be Chaos Accelerant, or do we want to use Feed the Void? Because frankly, both of these will benefit our grenade. With Chaos Accelerant, Scatter Grenade submunitions track to nearby targets. However, you also have Feed the Void, where when you have Devour active, it gives you health restoration and grenade energy. So the two being is this will slightly make our grenade more deadly. It'll track to more targets, but this is going to give us our grenade back a little bit more often because it's giving us grenade energy. Plus the health regen from Devour is arguably just, this is a better aspect in terms of just ones to choose from. So we're going to run Feed the Void with Child of the Old Gods. And actually, I've never ran Child of the Old Gods, so this is going to be fun. We'll take you to the shooting range in a second to show you how it all works. But let's choose our fragments first. So knowing we're building just heavily into grenades, we've got abilities to weaken. We're going to have Devour up constantly, so pretty good uptime on just survivability. Let's figure out exactly what we can be using that's just going to further enhance it, whether it's going to buff up just our grenade stat or just the build in total. So we have Echo of Undermining. This will allow our Void grenades to weaken targets. It does make us lose 20 grenade stat. Is the trade-off worth it for more damage? We're going to find out. Let's see what else we've got over here. Melee Final Blows will grant us grenade energy. That's fairly good, but I'm not sure exactly if I want to use it. We'll keep Echo of Exchange in mind over here. So this is also not going to benefit us because we don't have a Void Wall, Void Spike, or an Axion Bolt grenade to use Echo of Remnants. Then there is Echo of Instability, so defeating targets with a grenade grants volatile rounds to our Void weapons. Looking at that, that's a really good option to choose because we're going to get volatile weapons from our Void weapons just by using our grenade, which we're going to have pretty often, just making it so our Void weapon is going to be better. So that being said, this will allow us to use a full Void setup. So we're going to go ahead and toss on Echo of Instability as well. Let's see what else we can be using. We don't really care too much about it. Melee Final Blow start health regen. We already are going to get that from Devour, so we don't necessarily need that. There is Echo of Persistence, where Void buffs apply to you, Invisibility, Overshield, and Devour have an increased duration. That's probably good. That's going to give us a higher uptime on our grenade energy from Devour as well as our health. Plus, if we run some certain void type perks on our weapons, we'll have an overshield pretty often as well. We'll get into that here shortly, but I think Echo of Persistence is going to be a really good pick. Let's see what else we've got on the last page. Echo of Starvation. So when we pick up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power, it grants Devour. We also have Echo of Obscurity. Finisher Final Blows grant Invisibility. And then there's Echo of Harvest. So defeating weakened targets create an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. Void Breach will then give us class ability energy back. That would give us a high uptime on Child of the Old Gods. But frankly, I feel like having a higher uptime on Devour also at the same time from Echo of Starvation would be a little bit better. And it only makes us lose 10 class stats. I'm not too worried about that. So that's kind of my thought process of when I go into creating a build is how are the fragments going to not benefit just the exotic, but also the playstyle as a whole. And you have a lot to choose from, so it can get a little bit overwhelming. So I would always say pick 3, 4 that you really, really think are going to be good, and then substitute things out if you feel like you need it. Now, we know we're going to get volatile rounds using void weapons solely because of our fragments from our grenade kills. So knowing that, we want to be using a void weapon. Now, that's where it comes into handy is what perks do we want on our weapon? Should it be any void weapon? At the end of the day, any void weapon will work because it's going to proc volatile rounds, but how do we build further into that? Knowing there's perks such as Demolitionist, which will give us our grenade back on multiple kills. There's also perks like Repulsor Brace, which when we defeat void debuff targets, we will get an overshield from that as well. Now, Reckless Oracle does come with both of those perks. It is craftable. You can easily farm for it from Garden of Salvation, 6 chests, 2 per character every single week for free without doing a single encounter. And I'll try to link a video to one of those farms down below from another creator. But at the end of the day, if you don't have Reckless Oracle or if you don't want to do the raid, totally fine. What you can actually do, and let me pull this up for you really quickly, is we're going to go over and head over to Light GG, because what this will do for you is we can actually search which weapons have specific perks that we want. So when we pull up Light GG over here, let's actually open the website. Go ahead and search the database for, let's say we want to build into Demolitionist. So let's go ahead and search for that really quickly. This will also tell you what its ability it regens. So kills grant 11% grenade energy. Snipers grant excess amount. Basically, when you throw your grenade, it refills your magazine with 3-second cooldown. So pretty good because you throw your grenade, refills your weapon, getting kills, refills your grenade. Now, what this will show you is all the weapons that it's craftable on, what it's curated, so it drops from a curated roll, and then what it is randomly rolled on as well. So craftable, okay, let's go in here, figure out which ones are power, which ones are kinetic, which ones are legendary. Obviously, Sacred Providence, it's not a void weapon, but if we want to go specific void and you don't, like I said, want to do the raid or even try the loot farm at all, there is one wonderful weapon over here called Gnawing Hunger. So let's go ahead and find Gnawing Hunger really quickly. Is it randomly rolled? Oh my goodness. Okay, we're just going to search it because I know that it actually rolls on that. That's going to be a little bit easier to show you. So Gnawing Hunger is a void auto rifle. It can roll with Demolitionist in the 4th column, Subsistence in the 3rd column, and this you can actually get for free. Not free. You have to spend a little bit of in-game currency buying it from the Drifter. It's just Glimmer and I think Enhancement Cores, but it's an easy alternative to grab if you don't have Reckless Oracle. Now, we know that we're going to get a Repulsor Brace to proc a lot because we're killing volatile targets, meaning we have a high uptime on our overshield. So that being said, this pairs extremely well with Nothing Manacles and the rest of the abilities as well. Now, for your special weapon and your heavy weapon, it's really entirely up to you. We know that we're going to have weakened targets a lot. And frankly, you could easily go with something that's featured or a new weapon just to get that extra damage. Mint Retrograde, obviously, everybody knows is going to be one of the best options in terms of damage for the top slot. So we're not just going to waste it. We're going to go ahead and toss Mint on there. Necessarily, I'm not going to be using it a ton. We're more so focused on Reckless Oracle, getting our grenade, and having a high uptime on that as well. Now, for the exotic or heavy weapon, if that's what you choose to run with, really anything here is going to be pretty good. You know, you could do Thunderlord for in terms of just outright ease of use. but I want to do something that I have never used before in PvE, and that is going to be Two-Tailed Fox. And there's a reason for this, because the Void Rocket suppresses combatants, which will weaken them. It'll help Child of the Old Gods, and it'll just scorch targets with the Solar Rocket as well. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the artifact mods, the armor mods, as well as, of course, we're going to take this into the shooting range really quickly to show you just a little bit of the how-to and really what Child of the Old Gods is going to do for this build, how fast we can get our grenade back as well. So going in here, you know, we're using a pulse rifle, a rocket launcher as an auto rifle. We have anti-barrier pulse right there that we want to throw on, as well as overload rapid fire so our auto rifle can stun champions. Necessarily don't have anything else in this slot, so we're going to toss one on just so we can get to the next column. Flame Fiber and Freeze isn't going to benefit us because we're doing mostly Void. We could use Scavenger perks if we want to toss on Scavenger mods. None of these are necessarily going to benefit this specific build as well, so we're just going to get out of there. Then let's see in this third column right here, picking up an elemental pickup matching our subclass element or a Tangle while we have a Strand Super. Don't have a Strand Super. We're not using anything with Frost Armor. Elemental Benevolence will help give us class ability energy back if we grant our allies anything. So if you're running certain builds that give your allies Radiant, Amplified, Woven Mail, anything like that, that's going to be one to pick. But again, we don't have anything specific here. There's not much in this artifact mod that benefits Void this episode, so you don't have to worry too much about it unless you're playing with teammates that can, you know, you proc Cauterize Darkness, for example, for the rocket launcher because we have solar in it, but I digress. So we do have Elemental Daze though. This will assist us. So when we stun champions, an elemental explosion will happen based on whatever weapon we stunned them with, Strand, Void. That will assist us if we're going up against barriers or champion or overloads. Shoulder to shoulder is really good if you're doing activities with teammates. So dealing sustained precision damage when you have 2 or more allies near will grant you damage reduction. There's also Elemental Coalescence. So defeating targets has a chance to create an elemental pickup matching our super. That would be a Void Breach, giving us more class ability. Now, Radiant Shrapnel is fantastic, but again, we're not using anything that's going to proc it. Shield Crush, though, is important here, so while we have our Void Overshield, our melee will recharge faster and deal additional damage. Fucking nose is itchy. Elemental Overdrive, picking up an elemental pickup or a Tangle grants increased damage to weapons of that same element, so I'll toss that on. Really, a lot of the stuff in this is mostly neutral game perks, which still will come in handy, but it's nothing game-breaking or a must-have. So if you forget to put stuff on, it's not a big deal. Now, when it comes to the stats, we know we're going with heavy grenade build, so we want to focus on getting our grenade stat up as much as possible. That's going to be Grenadier Armor. For some reason, my Nothing Manacles dropped to Specialist, which makes no sense because it's a grenade exotic, but Bungie has bigger things to worry about than fixing my shitty RNG. So when it comes to just every single armor piece, I do have a grenade mod on every single slot. That way we get plus 10, or essentially with all 5, we're getting plus 50. Now we're using our grenade a lot, so Ashes to Assets is really going to come in handy here. So we get bonus super energy on those grenade kills. Then you could also toss on a super font mod if you want to. If you want higher super uptime, a little bit more damage, but it's not necessary. So we got to figure out, okay, what else is really going to help assist us? Creating Orbs of Power is extremely important, so we're tossing on 2 Harmonic Siphons. This will aid us in higher uptime on Devour, quicker super regen. So you always use Siphon mods, mostly that match the main weapon of your build, so you're creating orbs on those multi-kills. For the gauntlets, again, I always like running Fastball. This just throws your grenade further and farther. A couple things you can do here is you have Firepower, but you also have font mods too. So if we want to get plus 40 font, we could toss on 2 grenade font mods because every one adds, or sorry, not everyone. The first one adds 20, second one adds 40, and then the third one adds plus 50 to your stats. So if we have both of these on, it's going to give us 184 when we pick up Orbs of Power for our grenade stat. But I also want to create those Orbs of Power as much as I can. So we're going to use Firepower so our grenade kills can create an Orb of Power. Then 1 grenade font mod to get our grenade stat up to 165. Chest piece, I'm always going to recommend resistance mods that match whatever activity that we're going into. Or you could also, if you're running more on-level content or stuff that's not super difficult, any type of ammo regeneration mod for your special or heavy weapon. But for the sake of this, we're going resistance. Now, for the legs, I like and have really enjoyed running a surge mod that matches our primary weapon. Once you get into more negative content, your primaries don't really feel that good in terms of damage output. So a little bit of extra damage is going to just feel like it's going to go a long way. So we're tossing on a Void Surge to aid in our Reckless Oracle damage. Also, I like using Better Already. This will allow us to get health back immediately when we pick up an Orb of Power. Then there's Absolution. This will reduce all of our ability cooldowns when we pick up an Orb of Power. Other things that you can be running is if you say want to create a ton of Void Breaches, you want your class ability back faster, toss on Elemental Charge. So when you collect a Fire Sprite or sorry, a Void Breach, this will have a chance to give you an Armor Charge, which will create a lot of those. That's going to get our class ability back, then also can proc some other things. But getting an extra armor charge, not necessarily a bad thing, because that also procs our grenade font mod. Could toss on another Void Weapon Surge. You could toss on a weapons font mod. Really anything that's going to help in your ability cooldowns as well as your weapon damage is what I would always recommend for your leg armor mods. For the class specific mods, if you watch the channel, checked out any video, you know I like Powerful Attraction, pairing it with Reaper. They go hand in hand. So when you cast your Rift, your next weapon defeat will create an Orb of Power because of Reaper, but also when you cast that Rift, any orb within 12 meters will automatically get picked up because of Powerful Attraction. Now, we know we're going to get our grenade back a ton, so Bomber isn't necessary, but we do want our melee back a little bit faster, so we are going to go with Outreach. So this will reduce our melee cooldown just by casting our Rift. Other weapon or other mods that you could choose if you like using finishers, Proximity Ward is really good because it's going to give you an overshield when you perform a finisher. Special ammo finisher, if you're having trouble with special ammo generation, this will just generate special ammo for the full fire team, though it does require you to have 3 armor charges to proc. So it's a little bit more situational, and frankly, it's not as necessary. But again, build it into your playstyle. It's helpful if you do go through all of these and if you want to read them, see which ones really fit with what you're looking for. But in terms of what I've found to be one of the most enjoyable and most successful for myself is focusing on ability regen and orb regen. Those are really 2 good things when it comes to build, because you're going to have a higher uptime on all of the stuff that is just more fun to use. In terms of specific armor pieces, I am running a Lustrous set because it does have the highest stats that I have. We're not getting a benefit out of anything because we don't have solar weapons. So you don't need specific armor for very specific builds. Of course, you can build into that if you choose to, but it's not even a cherry on top of a build. It's more of the cherry that's on top of the cherry when it comes to putting on specific armor. The set bonuses are nice, but by far very unnecessary in my personal opinion. Let me know down in the comments if there's a specific armor set that you enjoy using, that you found to be a ton of fun, and that you think is really viable. Because at the end of the day, I haven't tried every single set. I don't have every single armor set because I haven't done the full raid yet. But anyways, let's get into the tower. Let's go show this in the shooting range, show you what Child of the Old Gods can really do. Because frankly, it is getting that buff where it's going to be enhanced by your grenade stat as well, giving it more damage. And of course, I don't really like higher uptime. I don't know how that's going to work, but it is what it is. So let's go proc some ads really quickly. And then we're going to throw these grenades because just really get the most out of Child of the Old Gods right here. So you can see in the bottom corner, your Void Soul is ready for 25 seconds. And all you have to do to proc this is shoot one bad guy with 1 bullet. That immediately is going to attack him. And he's low enough, so it weakened him, which procs Devour, giving us higher grenade. Now we get another kill. Let's just get our grenade back. So right there, our grenade, we have Devour, Demolitionist, 3 kills again, grenade, Devour still procced, there's 3 kills, 4 kills, we have our grenade back again. So with this, you have your ability for your grenade up just utterly insane. The ability regen feels like a joke, honestly. If you've watched any of our grenade, our solar, our void warlock builds, you know that building into Demolitionist and just regen for your grenade is just insanely easy right now. So let's take this into some -40 content and see how well this actually does. All right, we're taking this into every single person's favorite activity, K1 Logistics at -40. And we're gonna proc Child of the Old Gods right away, just so it can weaken this barrier. And then let's get him to Elemental Daze to proc. So it does shoot off a little bit of Strand right there. Not a ton. He's weak, so just by getting that. Okay, sir. Why is my headset so loud? Reloads our auto right there. That right there just will help proc Repulsor Brace, giving us better survivability with the Overshield. Void is really slowly becoming my favorite element. I do like Solar a lot this episode just because of all the Radiant stuff and the Artifact mod, but Void is just a ton of fun. That guy was just tanky. All right, let's go up here. Toss that for just easy use. There's a barrier up there. He's suppressed. And we'll just kill him really quickly. There's that. Reloads our auto. Where are you shooting me from? Why did I choose the modifier with that? That was silly. So he's still volatile. Luckily, volatile rounds does last quite a bit, which is really, really nice. Proc Child of the Old Gods again, which we probably should not have shot that Acolyte, but it is what it is. It went on to the Knight. Pocket Singularity is really nice too, apart from you not hitting the target with it. It does have some pretty decent range. Get that to hopefully kill the Knight. Right there. There's our grenade back again. Let's let him proc his shield real quick. The grenade does do some decent damage. Obviously, it's not on the level of like Verity's Brow or Starfire, but you know, for just having 2 grenades up is pretty nice to get them up really often. All right, there's another one. All right. For sake of just easy use, let's just toss this Nova Bomb at him. Kill him with that. There's a Bane, but that was the last one of those. Dude, every time I try to do any type of build video where I want to focus on ability regen and just how good it can be, I always get the extra objectives that is weapon defeats every single time. And this time we didn't realize it, so we're just hoping we get close to that, which I probably won't. All right, I really need to get the catalyst for the Two-Tailed Fox to get that arc rocket as well. That's just like a third damage we're losing out on by not having it. So after this, we're gonna go farm for that catalyst. All right, now let's go in here. Got a grenade already. Get some kills, get Devour to proc. Get some more grenades. Right there we have another one. 1, 2, and let's get another kill. Another grenade in 1 second. I think that's what, 5 grenades already, just in this little short time. So there's our 6th grenade right there. So that's what I'm saying, is like your ability to build into just insane regeneration is crazy right now. And not to say that it wasn't in the past, but the up to 200 stat really does help. Another grenade. Another grenade. There we go. That's easily probably, what, 10 grenades just in that very, very short time frame. All right, let's get some special ammo and heavy ammo even. All right, let's go shoot this subversive wizard with our Two-Tailed Fox and see how much damage this actually does, because I've never used this against like a real in-game boss. It's not too bad. It weakens him. Let's see if it'll scorch him on 2. And it has terrible tracking. Could use Truth. Truth would have been another really good pick here. There's that for Devour's sake. Right there. Child of the Old Gods. There's another grenade. Since we didn't get the kill, we don't have our volatile rounds up. We'll get it in a second. There we go. Volatile rounds. Guys behind us. Another grenade again. Now we just gotta wait for this barrier to spawn in. The uptime on your volatile rounds with this also is insanely good. It was just like that too with our Verity's Brow build. I'll leave that link down below as well if you want to check it out. Alright, let's do a Nova Bomb. Does some fairly decent damage. There you go. Get that Devour to proc again just to help with some survivability. Overshield as well. Decent grenades right there. Yeah, Two-Tailed Fox, honestly, it's fun. But I think without the Catalyst, we're missing out on some damage. So highly recommend getting yourself the Catalyst if you want to use this exact loadout. Don't be like me. But other than that, I think it does fairly decent. Alright, we should have a lot more ads, hopefully spawning soon. We'll proc Child of the Old Gods on them once they do. Toss this rift real quick, and then we'll send let's see how far Child of the Old Gods can actually go. So he was pretty decent. Oh, that track's pretty far. So Child of the Old Gods a lot better than I thought it would be. Pocket Singularity is not too bad in terms of it. Just doesn't make it as far as I would like. Still have volatile rounds. Proc Demolitionist, so that reloads our auto. Try to reload this in the open is not a good idea. I shot one rocket on... Oh, okay. So yeah, don't switch your rocket, because it'll cancel. And dead. Okay, perfect. So, -40 or it's -36. We're rounding up for the sake of just numbers. But at the end of the day, like, our grenade came back just insanely fast. Having two is really nice as well. At the end of the day, is this a meta build? No. Is it a lot of fun? Yeah, it actually played really, really well. Let me know down in the comments if you're going to check it out or if this helped you at all in your process of trying to figure out how to create a build inside of Destiny 2. Leave me some options down below if you guys want me to check anything out that you've created. As always, thank you so much for coming and watching, and I will catch you in the next one.